everybody, and welcome to Semi-Adulting with Makiya Vonyia. I'm Makiya, and this is the podcast where we discuss the ups and downs of early adulthood in today's world. So let's not waste too much time, and let's go ahead and jump into today's topics. So, hey everybody! I am super excited to be doing this today. I have been wanting to do a podcast for a long time. I've had this idea like written in my notes for well over a year. And so I'm glad to finally be able to be in a position to bring this podcast to you all. Don't mind my facial expressions, child. I'm trying to get my words together. but yeah, so welcome to Semi Adulting. This podcast will be available on YouTube and Spotify. So if you are a visual girl like I am sometimes, you can head over to my YouTube channel, Makiya Vonyia, and check out the podcast here. I have it recorded so you can see my face while I talk because I'm the type of person too. I need to see the person. I need body language, okay? Or if you just prefer to listen, this podcast will be available on Spotify. And so, yeah, I'm not going to hold y'all too long today. I'm just going to get into a few things since it is the first episode. Um, so yeah, like I said, I've been wanting to create this podcast for a while. Um, it was just something about like, I feel like there's not too many podcasters. No, let me not say that. I feel like in this new age of podcasting, since it's making its way back around to mainstream media, I feel like a lot of times it can be not real. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I like to bring transparency to everything. So if you've been subscribed to my YouTube channel for a while, shout out to the gang. If you're the gang, put gang in the comments. I don't know if you can do comments on Spotify, but if you can, put gang in the comments if you came from YouTube. Uh, but anyways, if you've been following me for a long time on YouTube, or if you just know me in real life, y'all know that I do not like being fake. Like I don't like fake stuff. I don't like fake information. I'm very transparent when it comes to anything, being put out on the media. Let's just say that. So I wanted to create this particular podcast to create a safe space, create a real space where we can discuss topics that may not always be talked about, especially for my people that's in their early 20s like me. If y'all don't know, I'm 23 years old. So I'm still in my early 20s and I'm still learning. There's a lot that I'm learning. Every day it feels like. I feel like every year in your 20s is really like 10 years. Because I feel like I've learned the most in the last 3 years that I have in my whole entire life. But we'll get into that in a minute. So yeah, I wanted to create a space that was safe, first of all, in order for us to come together as a community of this newer generation. What are we? Generation Gen Z or are we Gen Y? If y'all know the generations, y'all put it in the comments because I don't know. But yeah, and I also love content creating as well. Like I said, I've been on YouTube on and off for years. Um and it's just been kind of hard trying to find like my space, like what do I want to do? And I think this podcast will definitely be it because there's no pressure when it comes to podcasts. I can say what I want. I don't have to do too much, you know what I'm saying? Like I could just come on here and talk and be me. Not that I wasn't doing that anyways, but it just doesn't feel like there's much pressure when it comes to doing a podcast versus, oh, I have to sit here and film this video, I have to plan out this content. There's some planning that goes into making a podcast, but when I like have filmed vlogs and other types of videos and like having to edit and all that, sometimes it can be a bit much, even though I do like it. So yeah. Also, my second reasoning for wanting to start this podcast is I want to build a community where we can help each other navigate this time in our lives because Child, the 20s is a hard time. Like, nobody tells you how hard the 20s really are. As fun as they are, they're also equally hard. Like, I feel like I said earlier, every year I've learned so much and I'm only 23. And I feel like I have so much more to learn, which I'm grateful for, but it's like, dang, like how many learning curves do I got to go through? So, yeah. Whew, child. It's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot, but it's okay. We're gonna get through it. So yeah, that's my whole reasoning for starting this podcast. Honestly, I don't really know how long this first episode is going to be. It's probably not gonna be too long. But yeah, I will be dropping new episodes every Friday. I'm gonna try to. I'm gonna try to be consistent. That's my thing. Consistency be hard. It be real hard. But I'm gonna try to drop a podcast every Friday. And if I don't, y'all gonna hold me to it. But anyway, so I titled today's episode Welcome to Adulthood with adult in parentheses because adulting is like so ghetto. Adulthood is the worst hood that I've ever lived in. And I mean that wholeheartedly because I grew up in the hood. But it is like it's so ghetto out here in these streets. And I think that what really contributes to that is like growing up, I feel like I don't know if this is y'all too, but for me personally, I had this whole like fairy tale dream of what being grown was, right? Like I just felt like, oh, by 25, I'm going to be married and I'm going to have like my house, I'm going to drive a Mercedes Benz like I had all these dreams and aspirations, but child, once I really hit life, that's like when it hit me. So it's kind of like I wonder why, like my mind wonders why do we consider or why do we glorify adulthood at such a young age? Like you hear like the older generation all the time when you're growing up saying, "Don't grow up too fast," or "Don't," you know what I'm saying? Like you be saying like as a child, you be like, "Oh, I just wish I was grown." Why do we wish that? Like, because if I could go back to 8-year-old me, I would tell me, no, this ain't what you want. Like, what did Lil Uzi say? This ain't what you want. This ain't what you want. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm really goofy, but yeah, because it's very very ghetto out here. Like, I feel like and I think what makes it harder is where the times that we're living in, because the economy that we're having to live through right now is nothing that like our parents had to live through. It's nothing like their parents had to live through. I don't think. Don't quote me on that. But I feel like now it's like so much harder because we're going through so much. Like this is such a big transition period. We lived through a pandemic, first of all. I turned 21 during COVID. Like, and I feel like people that's older than me that had like the typical 21st birthday, that was lit outside in the clubs, all that stuff. Like we really didn't get to experience that too much because we were in the middle of a pandemic. We're pretty much going through another recession right now. Like this inflation is ridiculous. We're barely affording to live. I'm barely affording to eat. So I feel like my 20s right now is not as fun as I guess I glorified it to be because of everything that we're going through. Like I seen a post on Instagram, and if I can find it, I'll pop it up on the YouTube video so y'all can see. But it was basically like y'all waited till I got grown for y'all to make rent from $500 to $1,400 or something like that. And I really felt that because it's like when we was kids and stuff, and you was hearing about people like paying rent or paying bills and stuff. It was like, oh, rent's $500. I would kill for $500 rent right now. Like come on now. Like rent is ridiculous like everywhere. And it doesn't matter. Like I could really go back to the hood, like for real, and still pay the same price in rent that I would in the burbs. Like that's crazy to me. Um Yeah. So I feel like adulting, outside of it being ghetto and outside of me calling it hood and all that, I feel like adulting though is also a blessing because even though the ghetto or the hood is not the most desirable place to be, you still have to realize that there's value in that. Like I said earlier, I grew up in the hood. I grew up, you know, in what do you call it? Um the inner city. Um and there's a lot of things that I've learned and that I've taken with me um as far as lessons and stuff goes, or different values and just different things I was able to pick up that if I had grew up say out in the burbs, I might not have picked up on. Not saying that growing up in the burbs you don't learn anything, because you can learn things in the burbs, but I'm saying like when you grow up in the hood and you have to learn basic survival, like you go through survival 101 like at a young age. And so just because you're not in a desirable neighborhood or you're not in a desirable area of town does not mean that there's no value there. And I think that's something that I really had to learn moving through my early 20s, because there's been definitely several low points that I've been in personally, whether it be financial, whether it be mentally, emotionally, where like I did not want to be there. Like this ain't for me. Like this is not where I'm supposed to be at. But had I not been in those places, um I wouldn't have learned the lessons that I learned. I wouldn't have taken away the things that I know better now. If you get what I'm trying to say. Hopefully that made sense. I'm gonna try to. I don't know. Hopefully it made sense. Hopefully y'all catching what I'm putting down. Okay. So yeah, basically what I'm trying to say is. Sorry y'all, I'm kind of nervous for real, because I've never done a podcast. So yeah. Anyway, so what I'm trying to say is even though I've been in low places, especially over the past 3 years, like in my 20s, and those places were not where I saw myself being in my 20s, it was still valuing it because I learned. You know what I'm saying? I learned and I grew from those experiences, and now I know what not to do moving forward. So for example, like I said earlier, I struggled financially. Um, Still struggling financially. I'm still figuring this shit out. But you know, that's what it's about. Like I feel like when you're in your early 20s and you make mistakes like, oh, racking up credit card debt, and not being able to pay it back, you know that for the next time, oh, I'm not going to rack up over $1,000 in credit card debt because I don't have $1,000 to pay these people back. You know what I'm saying? It's things like that. So I feel like I said, when you're in your darkest spot, when you're in the spot where it's least desirable, you have the most potential to grow because there's value in that spot. So if you're in a low spot right now, or if you're feeling like you're not where you're supposed to be or where you want to be, my advice to you is to really just stay down until you come up, because even though you don't want to be there and even though it's a dark spot or a dark time for you, there is beauty in the struggle. Shout out to J. Cole. There's beauty in the struggle. There's value in that place. So I encourage you to find out what that is, because sometimes, like, look, I'm gonna be real because I said I was gonna be real. I was gonna be transparent. There's times when there's like no money in my bank account, but and that's a low spot. Like I struggle with that. Like I deal with what's called like I guess it's called financial insecurity. I don't, and correct me if I'm wrong, child. I don't know if that's the right term, but I'm gonna call it financial insecurity for the sake of this episode, where I really struggle with um a fear of not having money. Um and not to say like I'm scared of not having money, like just to not have money, I have a fear because I don't want to ever be in a situation where I can't take care of myself, right? So for me, an undesirable spot, a ghetto, a hood spot for me in my adulthood is if my bank account is low and I look at my bank account, I ain't got no money in there. Like I go into like a little anxiety. I wouldn't say depressed state, but like that is a low spot for me. But what I had to learn and what I've learned recently since I've been getting better at my money management skills, yeah, shout out to me. A shout out to all the girls that's working on their finances, working on their credit, because we coming up, period. No, but for real, what I've learned in those times is, yeah, I might not have nothing in there right now, but my bills is paid. I have food, like, you know what I'm saying? So be grateful for the little things, even though you're in a low spot or a dark spot. If you feel like that, um, because you have to celebrate your small wins. Like everything is not going to be a super big, gigantic celebration like social media makes it out to be. And I think that social media definitely, I don't want to say it does more harm than good, but it definitely has it has the potential to do harm. Just because what's being pushed and what's being fed to us on a constant daily basis, which can lead to things like imposter syndrome, which I could get into in another episode because baby, I have a lot to say about social media. So maybe that'll be my next podcast episode. But yeah, so I kind of talked about how I've grown a little bit within the past 3 years. Um, One of the main things that I'm taking away from at least this year in my life, my 23rd year, my Jordan year. Y'all, please bear with me. I I can be corny sometimes. I'm sorry. Um, is learning how to put myself first. That's like one of the biggest lessons that I've learned. I can't rely on anybody else. Well, let me not say that because that make me sound crazy. I cannot put myself before anybody else. I can't put my needs before anybody else's. So I'm always going to make sure, well, what I've learned to do is to make sure that I'm taken care of first before anything else, whether it be financially, emotionally, spiritually, physically. I have to do what's best for me and what makes me happy. And I think a lot of times in our early 20s, we struggle with that as well. So that's something I definitely want to discuss further too. But I'm not going to make this first podcast episode so too long because I can talk for a while and I just kind of wanted to give y'all an introduction of my podcast. Um yeah. So overall, I would rate my experience, my first 3 years in my 20s as if I was to give it a on a scale of 1 to 10, child, I'm gonna go ahead and give it maybe a 5. I feel like a 5 because it's not all bad, but it ain't all good either. And but you gotta take the good with the bad. Take it with a grain of salt and keep pressing forward. So yeah. Like I said, I'm not gonna make this too long. But what I do want to do at the end of every podcast is I want to close out with some affirmations. Because I believe that affirmations are a great thing. Whatever you speak into your life can come will come to existence. So you have to speak positivity over yourself, positivity over your life, over your situations, and because there's power in the tongue, right? So I have 4 affirmations for you all today. So y'all can repeat after me. Y'all can write these down and repeat them daily, whatever you want to do. But make sure that you keep these somewhere. Sorry, that just completely threw me off. my computer, my computer just blanked out. So I'm sorry, y'all. Make sure y'all keep these affirmations somewhere close, somewhere where you can read them, or just say them back to yourself. So let's get into the affirmations. We're gonna take a deep breath. Inhale, exhale. First one, I am enough just the way I am. I am navigating adulthood with grace. My current circumstances are just a pit stop, not my final destination. And I am proud of my growth thus far. So, there we have it. We have finished the first podcast episode, and I am beyond ecstatic. I don't know if y'all can tell because child life is low key all over the place, but I'm so happy that I was able to do this because, like I said, I've been wanting to do this for a while, and I thank you all so much for listening or for watching if you're on YouTube. And if you're listening but you're not subscribed to me on YouTube, make sure you go subscribe to me on YouTube. My channel name is Makiya Vonyia. It's spelled just like the title, so all you gotta do is search me on YouTube. In my YouTube fam, make sure that y'all like, comment, and subscribe on this. Like, comment, and subscribe. Like and comment on this video. And if you found my YouTube channel and you're not subscribed yet, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, girl. It's lit over here. Like I said, I'm gonna keep it real. Yeah. Also, if you all, I'm like I said earlier, I'm not for sure if Spotify can leave comments, but I know for sure on YouTube you can leave comments. Leave some comments down below of some things that you want to talk about, some things that you might want my thoughts on, or any advice you might want going into your early 20s, or if you're going into your 20s, or if you're already in your 20s, and you want me to discuss a certain topic. Leave it in the comment section. Like I said earlier, I want to build a community where we can lean on each other and navigate adulthood together. So yeah, thank y'all so much for watching. Thank y'all so much for listening. And I can't wait to see y'all next week.